Today I'm gonna show you guys the best 3 fire decks in Pokemon TCG Pocket right now. Which one is actually the strongest? Let's get into it. First, let's give a shout out to xburst.dev, which is the website that I'm using to show you guys those deck lists. This isn't a sponsor. I really enjoy this website for building decks using cards that I haven't unlocked yet, and I'll also be using it to link all those deck lists down below in the description. Feel free to check them out and use the website to brew your own funky decks. With that out of the way, let's break down this deck list. Starting off with Centiskorch, Enjoyer and Charizard Tier 1. Obviously the strongest fire card in the game right now, it's Moltres EX. This card is just insane, and in case you don't know what it does, it's a basic stage EX with 140 HP, and it's got a couple of pretty insane moves. The stronger one being Inferno Dance, that's just for one single energy. You get to flip 3 coins, and depending on the result, you get 3 fire energies that you can attach onto Pokemon that are in your bench. So this card gives you ramp. On average, over the course of 2 turns, you're gonna get 3 energy out of this guy, which is pretty absurd for just a 1 energy investment on such a strong body. Also got another attack, which is Hit Blast. This card will be extremely good even if you just had Inferno Dance, so this is just a bonus that you get. And here are the 2 best ways to go about Moltres in my opinion. One being obviously the Charizard line, and here's the other line. Then we have the Blaine Decklist. And basically when you use him, you're giving plus 30 damage to Ninetales, Rapidash and Magmar. Although you don't see Magmar in this deck list because I don't think he's that good. So this is a really aggressive deck that just tries to rush down the enemy as fast as possible, but it has a couple of clear weaknesses, mainly in the fact that Ninetales only has 90 HP, kinda dies with a sneeze, and same things for Rapidash. It's got 100 HP, which is considerably better. Like, this doesn't get one-shotted from Pikachu, but it's gonna get wrecked by Starmie EX because it's also weak against water. As a baseline, it only deals 40 damage, which is really not that great. Since Moltres is so strong, and the Blaine deck can't really make good use of it because the cards are kinda designed for different archetypes. In the Blaine deck you don't really need a lot of energy, like you can just attack with 2 energy on Ninetales and you can attack with 1 energy on anything else. So there is not much point in using Moltres in this deck. That doesn't mean that I think the deck is bad, I just don't think that it's as good as the Moltres deck, and we're just talking about fire decks. So out of those 3 decks, I'm gonna have the Blaine deck in the last place. So we are left with the Centiskorch and the Charizard decks. People mainly think that Charizard is the best option, but I'm actually convinced that Centiskorch is just better. So I'm gonna make my case for it, and you guys can let me know whether you agree with me or not. The decks are obviously really similar. Both decks just run a full playset of Moltres and full playset of a single stage 1 that enables your whole deck. The reason why is because you really want to start every game with Moltres in your active spot and either Sizzlipede or Charmander in your bench. And since you are running Pokeball, the best way to get this setup is to just 2 and 2 and no other basic Pokemon. Obviously, you also want to run 2x speed in both of those decks. Let's say you start with your basic Pokemon and then you Pokeball into Moltres. You just want to be able to switch them and fix your setup as fast as possible. So what are the main difference between those 2 decks? Well, it's in the evolution line. Centiskorch deck just gets going on a stage 1, and the Charizard deck needs to play Charmeleon as well. It's honestly atrociously bad. You simply play them so that you can get to the stage 2 evolution. You can only evolve a Pokemon once per turn, so since Centiskorch just needs a stage 1, reach its endgame way more consistently compared to the Charizard deck, and that's why Centiskorch already gets 1 star. I'm gonna see if I can put the stars somewhere on screen, we'll figure it out later on. So on Centiskorch you only have 1 attack, which is the Fire Blast, which deals 130 damage and discards a fire energy from this Pokemon. Just a single fire. On Charizard you get Slash for 60, which by the way I've never seen anyone use this move. And then you get Crimson Storm, which is the reason to play Charizard. Kills literally every Pokemon in the game. Discarding 2 energy, it's a way bigger cost than just 1. Twice as much. Quick math. This is actually a bigger difference than what it looks like. let's say that if you have your Moltres setup going before you bring him into the active spot, you are gonna have 5 energy, you can swing for 200 damage, and then next turn you place your energy for turn onto it, it goes back up to 4, and then you can kill another thing, and ideally the game is gonna be over at that point. And then we have Centiskorch. In order to bring him out after you complete your Moltres setup, you just need 4 fire energy on this guy, because you can just bring him out, hit, and then put your energy onto it and hit again. The Centiskorch requires less evolution stages, being more consistent already, but it's also on average 1 turn faster than Charizard. Already 2 stars in favor of Centiskorch. Then Charizard has 180 HP, although it is an EX Pokemon, and Centiskorch only has 130 HP, but it's not an EX Pokemon. It's actually not that big of a difference, because if they get to kill your Moltres, they're gonna win the game once they kill the Centiskorch. I'm gonna say that Charizard EX actually wins this one. Having 50 extra HP is a big difference. I'm gonna give 1 star to Charizard. Obviously, Charizard with Crimson Storm deals 200 damage, one-shots everything. The little guy over here only deals 130 damage, which is a much lower number. Is it actually that big of a difference? Let's find out. So here is a list of a bunch of quote-unquote unpopular Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon that people are not really playing for one reason or another. Either they haven't unlocked them yet, or they just don't like to play with these cards. So for the sake of this video, we're not really gonna talk about them, and we're not gonna assign any points based on these Pokemon, because you don't really play against them. Here we have the actual Pokemon. Notably, they are all EX Pokemon. These all have 140 HP, except Executor, which has 160, but it's weak against fire. So if we play one Giovanni, we can one-shot all of these. And they are some of the strongest Pokemon in the game. If anything, I think people are severely underestimating Executor and Marowak, but they are amazing. Here's the thing, none of these can one-shot Centiskorch, because unless you roll double head on your Marowak, like, none of these can deal 130 damage at once. And they can't even get there with Giovanni, but we can. That being said, it's not all roses and flowers. I'm not here to gaslight you guys. I'm gonna be objective, or at least I'll try. It looks like Centiskorch is on par with these cards, if not even stronger. The thing is that those cards require a lot less setup to get there. Articuno and Moltres are stage 1s, although Moltres is not gonna really try to kill you for the most part, they're just gonna try to keep going with their game plan. And then Marowak and Executor are stage 1s, just like you, but they can already attack with just 1 or 2 energy investments, so they are gonna be faster on average. There is a really small difference within them, like these cards are so close. Because of that, in my eyes, this is just a straight up tie. Like, of course, Charizard can one-shot these guys, and Centiskorch can't, but you get your Centiskorch online way faster than Charizard. Yeah, I think there is a tie between Charizard and Centiskorch. Like, just draw your Giovanni, and you're always gonna be faster than Charizard on average, so in my eyes, that's a tie. Lastly, Pokemons that you actually can never one-shot with Centiskorch. Obviously, here is Charizard itself. Then we have Venusaur. Charizard is the only Pokemon that can kill Venusaur, so I will say that Centiskorch is one of the few Pokemon in the game that can actually two-shot the Venusaur. All in all, I think I'm gonna give half a point to Charizard. And then we have Mewtwo EX. It's actually a pretty insane card, right? It's almost as strong as Charizard, because it has 150 HP, it has a middle attack, 2 energy for 50, like this is totally acceptable. Side Driver, which is you hit them for 150 and then you discard 2 psychic energy. So it's a similar concept to the Charizard one, although you deal 50 fewer damage. If Centiskorch faces Mewtwo EX deck, and they get to pop off with Gardevoir, you're probably gonna lose. When the Mewtwo line bricks on the Gardevoir, because let's face it, you can brick on your stage 3 Pokemon, then Centiskorch is just gonna dumpster it. And lastly we have Blastoise, which is a really strong Pokemon. right? 180 HP is a ton, and then it has 100 point of damage on its attack. Even if you don't get the 2 extra water energy, like this card is really strong. It also got a 40 backup attack, which is fine for 2 energy. It's almost on par with Mudo. But the issue with Blastoise is that even though this card is totally fine, good and playable, almost nobody plays it. Why is that? Because it just has too much competition. Among the water Pokemon, you have Articuno EX and Starmie EX, which are slightly weaker in a vacuum, but at the same time they are also way more consistent, because Articuno is just a basic and Starmie is just stage 1. And that brings us to the reason why I actually wanted to make this video. Raise awareness among the community of the fact that stage 1 Pokemon right now are way more consistent and, dare I say, stronger than stage 2 Pokemons, because sometimes you'll draw your Blastoise but you don't have the Wartortle, and so your Blastoise is just dead, rotting in your hand. But other times you'll draw the Wartortle and you don't draw the Blastoise, which shouldn't be a problem, right? Like, you got a stage 1 Pokemon going, it's not an EX, but it should be fine, right? It will be better than a basic Pokemon. The issue is that for one reason or another, they made those stage 1 Pokemon insanely weak. Maybe they thought that Blastoise EX and Charizard EX and Venusaur EX were gonna be too strong, and so whenever you're just stuck, you just feel so bad because they don't do anything on their own. And Wartortle is by far the more playable, and people still don't play Blastoise. Not to mention that probably every other stage 2 Pokemon in the game suffers from this issue as well. It's just that the middling chain link in this chain is just way too weak. It's been done by design. They chose to design the game this way, at least for this first Genetic Apex expansion. In my opinion, that's kind of a shame. Those stage 2 Pokemon are actually really cool and people want to play with them. Dude, I love my Blastoise, my Charizard, my Venusaur, but it is what it is. I hope in future expansion we're gonna see stronger Wartortles and stronger Charmeleon and whatnot, which is actually gonna make this stage 2 Pokemon way more playable. But unfortunately for this game, as we can see, Centiskorch gets the win over Charizard. I think it's better. Now, do I think Centiskorch looks cooler and feels cooler than a Charizard? No, I don't. But if you just go by the number, on my eyes, it's just a better choice.